We have been spoiled with amazing horror movies in 2025. The most recent of which was Weapons, and oh my god, that movie is so good. And if you haven't seen our video on why it blew up at the box office in the way it did, well, you should definitely go do that after watching this one. But I digress. My main point is 2025, we still have like 4 months to go, and that means loads of great horror movies. And one upcoming one in particular is on everyone's lips, and that is Good Boy. I know what you're thinking. Good Boy? That sounds like a really fun time. But turns out, no, it's really scary. So let's get into it. Hey everyone, Ewan here for Wild Culture Horror, and I don't know about you, but I always get major anxiety when I see a dog in a horror movie. It might be because my favorite horror movie of all time is Halloween, and obviously, you know, Michael Myers has a hankering for dogs. But also, especially in like ghost stories, because you know, you get those scenes where the dog is looking at the corner and barking, and it's very clear that he's seeing something very upsetting in that moment, but we can't see it, and neither can the people in the movie until it's too late. And the whole time you're just kind of like, wow, I really feel for that dog. He's probably seen something really unfathomably awful, and he can't process that. And well, if you're like me and you find it really upsetting, well, good news, Buster. There's now an entire movie dedicated to that premise, and it looks amazing. The movie in question is Good Boy, the trailer for which dropped yesterday, and yeah, it lives up to all the pre-release hype that we've been seeing while it's been doing the rounds on festival circuits. The movie itself is shot from the perspective of a dog. It's really dark, atmospheric, and yeah, this one's gonna upset a lot of people in good and bad ways, which we'll get into. The premise of the film focuses on a dog called Indy accompanying his owner to a haunted house. They both don't know that the house is haunted until they get there, obviously, this isn't Scooby-Doo. But yeah, over the course of several nights, the dog has to make heads or tails of all the creepy supernatural goings-on and try and protect their owner from the supernatural forces moving into the space. And yeah, if you're thinking about how the best horror movies really kind of strip power away from the audience, this is a genius way of doing just that, because, you know, dogs can put up a scrap, but against a ghost, they're kind of, you know, even more vulnerable than we would be. So yeah, scary. Director Ben Leonberg developed it as a full feature following its success as a short film, using his own dog, who is also called Indy, as the main star. And Indy wasn't originally meant to be the main star of the feature version, but because he got such good reviews over the course of the short's kind of festival run, well, congratulations, buddy, your dog now is a really cool movie star. As I said before, the film has been drawing a massively positive response during its run in festivals, with Indy again receiving special praise from festival goers. But there also has been a natural visceral reaction, with Ben Leonberg saying that people in the audience during certain scenes have looked to find him in the crowd and ask him, "What the hell have you done?" Which, yeah, that bodes well for all the dog lovers out there. One of the reasons I think that there's that extra level of kind of like emotional response from audiences isn't just the fact that it's a dog and then it's shot from a dog's POV, but rather that there is a clear off-screen context of like emotional and spiritual connection between the director and his star. You know, Indy wasn't meant to be in the full feature movie, but he is, and we've now got to see a dog's human get to direct them in a film and put them through some pretty scary situations, but obviously, you know, a lot of fun that goes into a shoot too. But yeah, Leonberg had this to say in an interview with Variety, quote, that they hadn't planned to use him originally, but that he has, quote, some quirks that make him uniquely suited to do this. It kind of forced our hand. He became my leading man. And yeah, what a leading man. There's a bunch of really cool stuff in this Variety interview, but I think my favorite quote has to be this, when Leonberg was asked about how the film kind of, you know, relates to broader discussions about the relationship between humans and animals, and obviously, you know, dogs specifically. Quote, "In a big picture sense, it's about animals and what they mean to us. I don't think I would do what the main character, Todd, would do when faced with a problem like this, but that instinct to retreat into oneself and take comfort with an animal that will unconditionally love you, I think that's very, very relatable. Animals as a symbol, dogs especially, are protectors. They're members of our family who are not human, but they are so crucial to humanity. We see it in the film. At some point, the characters are watching a cheesy old horror movie that opens with footage of cave paintings of man and dog, a relationship as old as time. The movie is definitely about that. What happens when an unstoppable supernatural force comes up against a force of nature and a dog who would do anything to save the person he loves? And yeah, if your heart's not already breaking hearing that, well, just know that plenty of reviewers have also described the movie as one of the most heartbreaking of the year. And to be honest, you don't even need to watch the trailer to know that Good Boy is shooting for a particularly unique and unnerving kind of horror. The poster does it for you, in which we see Indy, our beloved hound, facing off against an encroaching, shadowy veil of ghostly hands, all reaching out at him. And that alone really does just speak to the absolute nightmare fuel that is being conjured here. And also, you know, how we all feel so upset about this poor dog and what he's gonna end up having to go through. It's just really, really genius in terms of like just marketing, but also as a premise. And also, you know, the poster itself is so evocative of similar imagery we've seen doing the rounds online for years now. You know, the whole thing of like the pet animal sensing something in the house, it's in the dark, the dark has got unknown badness coming from it, and we're all deeply, deeply afraid and not okay about it. The other really cool thing about the poster is the tagline, which is "Trust his instincts." And that in itself speaks to one of the most interesting and compelling dynamics between humans and animals. We can foster a connection and a relationship with these wonderful creatures, but there's still an element of communication that we can't quite bridge. And the idea of, you know, the dog knowing that something is just slightly amiss, and not slightly amiss, something's terribly amiss, but not being able to communicate that in its own way. You can feel the frustration of the pet and also the confusion and terror coming from the human side of things too. It's just a really, really cool communication dynamic that, you know, we've seen done before in various horror movies and even action movies or whatever genre, but here we're getting it dialed up to a whole other level, and I think it's great that Good Boy is delving into that. As to when you can watch the movie in cinemas, well, the good news is that horror specialist Shudder has picked it up for distribution and will be releasing it in select territories in cinemas October 3rd this year. We can expect to see it in cinemas in the United States, Canada, the UK, Ireland, New Zealand, and Australia, which is a pretty decent, you know, kind of like distribution scale, I guess you would say it. But yeah, if you can't catch it in cinemas, it will also be on streaming. And yeah, just again, what a great year for horror. And we're not even in spooky season yet, and things are only gonna get better, it seems. So yeah, I'm excited and terrified to watch Good Boy. It's kind of broke me.